I was in the sick bay. The sick bay was this horrible little room where you got sent if you got sick, like puked or had a headache. There was a kind of bed to lie down on, a special sort of medical bed covered in black plastic, and a bucket to throw up in, and another bucket full of sand. There was also a dummy person in there. It didn't have any legs, just the head and the middle bit with the arms attached. I don't know what it was for. Maybe teaching about the human body or learning the kiss of life or something. But someone had drawn a dick going into its mouth. I say it because it was really a she. You could tell from the head, which still had long hair, although a lot of it had fallen out. They tried to clean it off, the dick, I mean, but you could still see it, so now she just lived in the corner of the sick bay. She looked a bit sad. Yeah, a bit freaky. I was lying on the bed, not really knowing what to do with myself. The vinyl covering of the bed had burn holes and tears in it, and I really wanted to pick at them. Mrs. Eel had obviously been glad to see the back of me. I don't think she liked the idea of someone dying in her classroom, even though by then I'd recovered. I mean, pretended to recover. I even climbed back into my chair, but Mrs. Eel said I had to go see the school secretary, and that was that. It was the secretary who had called Miss Bush, who sent me to the sick bay. She asked me if it had happened before, and I said it had, quite often, and it was always fine after a few minutes. And then she told me to go lie down and stay quiet. I said that really I was all right now, but she seemed to think that as long as she got me to lie down in the sick bay, then she'd done her duty, showing that she was caring and all that. Probably covered herself against getting sued. Lying down and staying quiet was as far as medical treatment went at our school. I'm pretty sure that if you turned up with your head under your arm, Miss Bush would still tell you to lie down and stay quiet. There was a creak, and I looked over at the sick bay door. I had peeped around. I didn't know what to expect, and if I'd had 100 guesses, I would never have got it right. It was Shane, the leader of the freaks. "Can I come in?" he asked in a soft voice. "I mean, I know how ill you are, and I don't want to, put back your recovery." He said this with a completely straight face, but he got across the message that he was joking. It made me laugh. "Did you bring me any grapes?" "Nah, just monkey nuts and hard-boiled eggs." I didn't understand that, but I knew it must be a joke, so I laughed again. "I heard what you did," Maddie told me. "That was cool." "Yeah, well, I just couldn't, Well, most kids would have just, Again, there was that kind of mockery in what Shane was saying. I mean, making fun of my clumsy words, but it didn't bite, because it was like even though it was me he was sort of mocking, he almost seemed to be on the same side as me. As though we were both taking the piss, both having the piss taken out of them at the same time. "Your name is Paul Vardaman, isn't it?" I nodded. "My name's Shane." "I know. I think everyone knows who you are." "What's that?" "That thing with Frisco?" The thing with Frisco was famous. Frisco was the scary little Irish PE teacher who only spoke in two ways: a sinister, quiet voice and a bellow. One rainy day, when the year was all together in for PE, Frisco tried to get Shane to do something. I can't even remember what it was now. Using his quiet voice, and Shane said, "I'm sorry, sir, you'll have to speak up." And then when Frisco screamed at him, he said, "There's really no need to shout." It all sounds a bit tame now, but it was fantastic at the time, and no one had ever dared to talk back to Frisco like that, even if everything Shane said was actually quite polite. Frisco marched him off to the room where all the gear was stored, beanbags, hoops, that sort of thing, and we all heard the shouting and a bumping sound, and then a scream from Frisco, "Your head is going to bounce off that wall!" And then Shane walked out of there as if nothing had happened at all, not a bit ruffled or bothered. But Frisco came out looking like he'd been the one who bounced all around the walls. his hair and his eyes all wild. It was like Frisco was a storm, and Shane was a lighthouse that smiled. It's hard to get across how great that was. It was a little victory for the kids against the teachers, but not the usual one where the hard kid intimidates the soft teachers. There are plenty of victories like that, and they don't count for anything. No, it's worse than that. They make everyone's life a little bit shittier. This was different. This was a kid standing up to a bully, but in a way that you just had to describe as cool. It's one of the reasons the hard kids never went after Shane. Everyone still hated the freaks, but if Shane was around, they didn't bother them as much. Mrs. Zeal really is an old bitch, I said. Well, not that old, but a bitch. Yeah, Maddie said. And, well, guess what? She's here. Mrs. Eel? No, Maddie. She just didn't want to come straight in. I felt myself begin to blush. Shane smiled at me, then Maddie's face peered around the corner. Hi, she said, looking as awkward as I felt. I just wanted to say thanks. She looked down at the floor. She was still half in, half out. It was nothing really. My heart was pounding, and my voice sounded weird in my ears, but I made myself carry on. Anyway, at least it got me out of a lesson. Yeah. After a bit of a pause, Shane said, We're meeting up at my place after school, if you want to come round. Who's we? You mean the freaks? I didn't mean... Hey, sure, you've probably got something better to do. Anyway, see you round. No, I said, trying not to sound too desperate. I've got nothing going on. I'd really like to, come around and hang out. Where do you live? Up in Halton. Manston Gardens, you know it? Yeah, I've been up there. Posh houses. Not really. After tea, then. Anytime. I'm number 7. Then there was a bit of confusion, because Mr. Boyle was trying to get in, which meant squeezing past Maddie and bumping into Shane and putting his glasses straight, which was quite a lot for him to manage. We'll see you, said Shane, and he and Maddie disappeared. Oh, thought I'd stop by, said Mr. Boyle. Feeling better? Yes, sir. Fine, sir. Okay, good. Then a pause before he went on, stumbling over his words. Is this, anything to do with what happened earlier? How do you mean, sir? I thought you might have been, agitated, in a state. I felt a bit crap about that. I mean, Mr. Boyle being nice, taking out time to see how I was, trying to join things up, when I just faked it. No, sir, it just happened. No biggie. Well, that's good. It's nice to see your friends dropping in on you. Friends. I couldn't really call them friends, but yeah, it was good. And, maybe we'll see you in chess tomorrow. They're not so bad, you know. What do you mean? Who do you mean, sir? The chess nerds. That made me laugh. No, sir.